Hello and welcome everyone. I welcome you all.
Okay, so shall we begin?
Right, so I think this is your first class of geography.
So, what is reminder theorem?
So the RBI comes with a bulletin.
For example, citizens also and non-citizens also. So it is clear now. So abolition of
What is a society made up of?
Just do this exam, better your life is settled.
Getting my point? So the characteristic, as you can see here, agriculture was there.
And atmosphere is made up of what? Can say it is made up of
Gaseous.
And the loans will be credited to your account. Wherever you want, you can swipe this card.
Ax plus 1 divided by A. Here 33 by 8. 33 is 32 plus 1.
It went from fact-based to substantive knowledge, which means you can only answer the question if you have understood the topic.
Was it mixed? Was it socialist? Was it communist? Was it capitalist?
Excluding food and excluding energy. Core inflation does not include.
Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about Anthropology Optional in detail. And in this video, we are going to discuss about why you should choose Anthropology as an optional subject for the civil service examination. What is the advantages of this subject? What is this subject obviously is all about? And what should be the book list for preparation of different topics under the subject, as well as the detailed strategy right from the note making, studying note making, and all the way up to writing in the examination. So that's all we are trying to discuss today. So if we try to understand first of all about the subject itself, that what is anthropology. So in simplest term, if we try to divide it, we can divide it into two different root words. One is anthropo and other is logy. Anthropo is basically a term that is used to define or used to talk about humans themselves. And logy is again a Greek word that has come from logos, which means the study. That means in simplest term, if it want to define anthropology, it can be defined as the study of humans or study of mankind. And that is what exactly is written here also. Anthropology is the study of human beings we are talking about. And it is a very comprehensive and holistic study of human beings. I think no other subject, no other discipline try to explain, understand the study human beings as anthropology does. So it encompasses, why we are calling it holistic? Because the study of human beings in anthropology encompasses the biological study of human beings, the human anatomy we are talking about, also the cultural phenomena or the cultural part of the cultural sphere of humanity we are talking about. So biological, cultural, as well as social aspects of the human beings. These are three major streams under which different headings are there, through which we try to explain the humanity. In other way, we can say that anthropology thus in this way seeks to understand the diversity of human experiences across time and space. That means it is not only the study of humanity in present, rather it also tries to explain the evolutionary aspect of human beings, right from the great apes, and then how different species of humans, different genus of Homo sapiens and all have evolved across time as well as across space. That means geographical diversity that we have, diversity in the form of race, diversity in the form of ethnicity, diversity in form of different we can say anatomical, morphological features, as well as the socio-cultural diversity that already exists. This diversity then can be studied under various streams, and one major stream, as you can see here, is the study of diversity in the languages of humanity, so linguistic anthropology, for example. So in totality, what we can say, thus in anthropology we try to explain who part, who about the humanity or mankind. That means who are humans. Second, where did they come from? That means evolutionary part of humanity. And third, the diversity that we see across the humanity throughout the 7 different continents that we have today. So what is the reason behind this diversity, whether the physical diversity is there or the socio-cultural diversity is there. So now you understand that why when we call that anthropology is the holistic study of humanity. Why we are calling it such? Because it comprehensively try to explain everything that we need to know about the man or us. So basically, examples of way of understanding anthropology is obviously cultural anthropology, when we try to focus on the culture. Then we have linguistic anthropology, when we try to understand the origin of languages, different languages that we have in the world today, why there is a diversity, and even why there is similarity between the languages. For example, if you look at the Sanskrit language from India, which is a very ancient language, old language, and if you look at the languages in European continents, there are a lot of words that are similar. So why such similarity exists? That is something which comes under the subject domain of linguistic anthropology. Third is biological anthropology, obviously talking about the anatomy. Then we have a most important part of anthropology, which is also very important and crucial part for the UPSC preparation as well. That is the archaeological anthropology. In archaeological anthropology, we try to understand the archaeological evidences that we have found, whether it is about the fossil evidences, whether there is evidences related tools that used to exist in different periods of the human history. So these all basically tells us, or this basically explains us the type of or the kind of life we have lived in the past millions of years. Then we have the feminist anthropology, obviously, which is the very recent and current stream of thought. Then we have paleoanthropology, again discussing about the fossils. Forensic anthropology, which is an example of applied anthropology, where the anthropological tools, anthropological theories, and anthropological findings are used to solve solve different crimes, also find DNAs and all these kind of things. And then we have the urban anthropology, dealing with the modern day life of the urban areas or the city areas. This is how we can understand briefly about the subject matter of anthropology. Now the question comes that even before, if we do not talk about or limit ourselves to the UPSC preparation, why one should study anthropology? What is the reason behind this? So let us first try to understand in general way. First, as we have discussed, anthropology is a branch of what we can say science that does not focus on any one particular point of time. Rather, it is a comprehensive study of the past, the present, as well as the future of our species. This is very important point. Obviously, past from the evidences, archaeological evidences, fossil evidences that we have got, we have cultural evidences. From that we can try to find out that what kind of past we had. Present, obviously looking at the present form, and what is going to happen in the future also, whether in the terms of evolution, whether in terms of the socio-cultural changes, based on how till now the changes has panned out. Second, it has a very wide scope, cutting across the dimensions of time and space. Third, it is the most comprehensive of all the disciplines that study the mankind. We're trying to summarize it again, that we have talked about before. And the most important point is that this discipline is not a only theoretical or applied practical discipline. Rather, you have a very good mixture of both theories as well as application of these theories, applications of this concept, which can be used to solve the problems of people in the daily life. More specifically, we talk about the tribal problems. And then the prior knowledge of the discipline is not a prerequisite for anyone who want to understand about the humanity, who want to understand about himself. Basically, because when we're studying the humanity or studying the humankind, we're studying ourselves. So if you want to study yourself better, no other subject is as good as the anthropology. And the what we can say, the advantage, one of the advantages, the prior knowledge is not required. Anyone can start with basic books, and after a few readings, after spending few months, you can have a very good understanding of the subject and the related concepts. So that is the advantage. Now, since we are talking specifically here about the subject from the perspective of choosing it as a civil services optional, examination optional, so what is the advantage of anthro for CSE? So here also several advantages the subject has. First of all, if you look at the syllabus of the subject, we will talk about syllabus also in later part of the video. So you will find a very good overlap between the syllabus of anthropology as well as several topics of general studies. This can be, for example, in history. In anthropology, you have to have a detailed study of the prehistory, where you have to study about the ancient civilizations, both in India as well as outside of India, that means at the global scale. And this is something that you have to study in the history also. For example, Harappan civilization, that is Indus Valley civilization, you have to study in both. So that is a very good overlap. Second, we can talk about the society in general, especially this large part of UPSC General Studies 2 paper, and also in General Studies 1 in the Indian society. You have to study about the tribes of India, what are the problems they are facing, what are the rules and regulations, or what you can say constitutional safeguards that has been put in place to them, what are the policies and mechanism that government has instituted to make sure that their life becomes better and all that. So again, there is very big overlap, because in anthropology, especially in paper 2, almost 40-50% of the paper 2 is specifically dedicated to the tribal problems, mainly for India. So there also you have the good overlap. So overlap with history, overlap with polity, overlap with society, and similarly scattered all across the general studies, you'll find a lot of overlapping between the anthropology and this paper. Second advantage, obviously, so what is the advantage of overlap? You do not have to do study again. For example, if already you have studied prehistory anthropology, the study has to be in depth, in detail. You do not need to study again history, okay, and especially like Indus Valley civilization and Harappan civilization and all that. So that is one advantage. Second is the subject. If you look at the recent the strengths also, it is highly scoring plus good success rate. Good success rate means that generally what we see, that people who have chosen anthropology as an optional, the success rate hovers between 10%, and in some years it was even higher at 13%, which is a very good success rate if you look at the other optionals in the UPSC examination. Second, it is highly scoring. That means even by putting a smart work, by putting smart effort, not putting lot of work, you can still have a very good score, especially in paper 2 of the anthropology. Third, now when we talk about highly scoring, what does highly scoring mean? Highly scoring means that with a little more effort and by a smart work, it is very easier to score more than 300 in combined we're talking about in the anthropology optional paper, which is a very good marks in the mains examination. Actually, general studies mark, whatever you are getting, anthropology mark can be used to decide your ranks. That means even if you have fared bad in general studies, you can get very good marks in the anthropology, and you will have a very good chance of having a better rank in the examination, and the final merit list is prepared. Third is less competition from the degree holder. This is very important point, because if you look at the traditional conventional this art subject, let us say history or geography is there. The problem is that a lot of people are having their degrees, they have done their graduation in these subjects. So if suppose someone is coming from engineering background, someone is coming from the medicine background, arts, or we can say humanity, chartered accountant or all this. The problem is that if they choose history, geography, I'm not talking about a particular subject, but any such subject where basically it is popular subject where graduation is being done or masters is being done, you will have to have a competition with those people who have dedicated 4 years of their life, 3 to 4 years of their life in studying this subject. And then you are coming with overall, we can say, an average time duration of 1.5 years. You want to compete with them, it becomes difficult for you. So that is why choosing of anthropology is also providing you a level playing field. That means no matter which person or from what background they have came and taken anthropology and optional, all of them have good chances of basically scoring good marks if they are putting effort. Next is, it requires very little time to master as compared to many other optional subjects. As we have discussed, by putting good effort for 2 to 3 months, you will be able to understand the subject in very detail. And I am saying that if you spend 3 months, on average, if you spend, let us say 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours daily, then you're able to very easily complete the syllabus, whatever is given in the UPSC examination. That means one time you can do this reading before your prelims examination. Once you complete the syllabus, after the prelims examination, then you have to again revise it, do 2 to 3 revisions, and after that you will be very much comfortable in writing answers in the mains examination. And the last advantage that we can talk about is, for any subject, no matter how good a subject is, a person need to have the reference material, reference sources, study materials, so that he or she can able to understand the subject in detail. So there also anthropology, especially in modern times, or modern times we're talking about in these recent years, have very comprehensive study materials that are available everywhere. And however, one thing you have to keep in mind here, that guidance becomes very crucial. The availability of study material also sometimes becomes a problem, because these study materials have been written, have been designed not taking into mind the requirement of UPSC aspirant. Rather, these study materials have been written taking into mind of the requirements of people who are having a bachelor's or master's in anthropology. So it is more, we can say, comprehensive, more detailed, and a lot of things in these study materials you have to avoid, do not have to touch if you want to crack the UPSC examination. So what we have to study? What we have to study more important from, or we can say other important aspect is what we do not have to study. And in this aspect, the guidance becomes very crucial, so that you are able to focus your preparation for UPSC examination. So these are some points that we can highlight here that serves that basically benefits if you take optional as an anthropology. Now the question comes that if you have an interest in the subject, where you should start from. So for example, if you have sufficient times, that means if you're writing examination, let us say in year 2025 or 2026, in that case I would say you can start by developing a general interest in the subject. And for developing of general interest in subject, I would not say that go directly and start reading academic books, because you might get bored and you might not develop the interest. So first of all, you can start with a very good book which will help you directly and indirectly also in the examination, not only examination of anthropology, but even in the essay writing. That book is Sapiens, a very famous book written by Yuval Noah Harari. Once you are done with this book, now you understand that what basically is anthropology all about, then you can refer to the other book, that is Guns, Germs and Steel, that is written by Jared Diamond. Plus, if you want to spend more time in understanding the subject, then you can refer to a very good documentary that has been produced by the National Geographic Channel. The documentary is called as The Human Family Tree, which largely talks about the evolution of Homo species. So tracing the human journey through the time. This documentary again will not only evoke interest of you as an aspirant in the anthropology, but also will give you a lot of good points, bullet points that you can use while studying the fossil evidences, and then you can basically use it also to better your answers. Once you are done with this, now again this is for some this is for those students who have enough time. If you do not have enough time, if already you are giving examination, let us say in this in next year itself, then you can skip all these three. You can even refer to just Sapiens, that is more than enough, and then you can start directly with the books that is more relevant for the UPSC examination. So where to start with? So I would suggest you can start with book that is Anthropology, written by Amber and Amber. Amber and Amber, this book again did not have to study from first to last page. What you have to do, you have to go to the UPSC website, you have to download the notification. In the notification, in the optional subjects, you find the anthropology optional subject and look at the syllabus. Now look at the syllabus of UPSC and look at the content, that is the indexes and chapters of anthropology by Embers and Embers. And what you have to do, you have to tick that where both of these are matching with each other. So basically about 50 to 60% of the book is only relevant for the UPSC examination. Rest you can skip. But this is very interesting book. If you are done with this book, I can guarantee you that you will have a very comfortable understanding, and with very high confidence you can then go and start reading more relevant books for the UPSC anthropology examination. So that is where we can start with. Now coming to the syllabus, because we have discussed that what we have to study in the books is strictly as per the syllabus. So as we know that for every optional paper, the syllabus is divided in two parts, paper 1 and paper 2. So first let us try to understand about paper 1. Now paper 1, first we have to have an understanding of the subject as well, that is anthropology as a discipline. What does it talk about? What does it teach about? What is the meaning what is the scope, and overall how the discipline have developed in past 100 and 100 to 200 years. That is the first part of the paper 1. Then also we have to here understand about the relationship anthropology has with the other disciplines. As we have discussed in the beginning of the video, that anthropology is a holistic discipline and it has overlap with a lot of other disciplines. For example, the major discipline where anthropology overlaps obviously is sociology. Then anthropology has overlap with history. Anthropology is having overlap with, we can say, psychology. It is having overlap with philosophy. So how anthropology is related to all these other disciplines, that is a very important topic which you have to understand. So before going to the main or a core part of anthropology, you need to have a proper understanding of these three concepts, that is the meaning of anthropology, scope of anthropology, development, and its relations with other disciplines. Once you are done with this, then I would suggest you can start the socio-cultural anthropology. Now, in the syllabus of UPSC, anthropology has two major branches. One, the physical anthropology, and other is socio-cultural anthropology. The reason why I am asking you to start with socio-cultural anthropology, because this is a branch, or this is basically we can say part of anthropology which can be done easily by no matter whatever your academic background is. Plus, these are these are dealing with the concepts, or these are dealing with such kind of, we can say, theories which we observe or see in our daily life. For example, marriage, family, kinship, all these things are there which we are very well aware of, we have experienced as a part of the society. So it is something that also you will be able to grasp easily, and it will also able to develop your initial interest in the subject, which is very, very important if you want to remain in the subject for a long period of time. Because if you compare general studies preparation, optional preparation, both are very different. In general studies, for writing good answer, you need to have a wide understanding of variety of subjects. That means you have to have increased awareness about a particular topic and then related concept about it. In the optional subject, you have to go much more in depth, and this is something that is only possible if you have a very keen interest in the subject. So that is why you can start with socio-cultural anthropology, where you have discussed about topics such as nature of culture and society, marriage, family, kinships, economic and political organizations largely related to the tribals. Then we have the religion, language, and ethnicity. So that is the second thing. Now, for covering these parts, again, what should be the source if you want to cover the socio-cultural anthropology? So again, three main books here you should start with. First is Anthropology, this, as we discussed before also, Ember and Ember. A large part of Ember and Ember is dedicated to socio-cultural anthropology. So almost 30 to 40% of the required syllabus that is given in the UPSC, you can cover from this book itself. Apart from that, then you can go to the Introduction to Social Anthropology, that is written by Indian author D.N. Mazumdar and T.N. Madan, who have done stellar work in the field of anthropology, tribal studies especially, as far as India is concerned. And then once you are done with these books, you can then refer to Anthropology Simplified, that is through questions and answer written by Dr. Vivek Vasme. It will help you to understand that once you have a overview, or once you have a complete understanding of the subject or a topic, how you can use this to frame an answer that you have to write in the mains examination. Because no matter how much you have understood a particular topic, everything is dependent on how you deliver in the mains examination. That means how well you're writing the answer. So answer writing is a very, very crucial aspect of anthropology, and that is something you can try to learn from this particular book. So I believe that these three books are very crucial book as far as the preparation of socio-cultural anthropology is concerned. Next is, if we talk about the second part of the paper one, that is a major part we have, is the biological anthropology. So biological anthropology, also many times it is referred as physical anthropology. So it deals with variety of topics, the major topics revolving around genetics and human evolution. Again, a very, very interesting concepts. Human variation and the concept of race, the racism and all these things we also have to study about. primates and human evolution, which is the most interesting topic of this particular subject, I believe. And here, whenever you're studying about the primates and human evolution, make sure that you're also focusing upon making good diagrams, because the diagrams of the skulls, diagrams of the different parts of the body, diagrams of this we can say the skull and all this, not only of humans but also of the other earlier species, you have to practice. And if you are able to practice good diagrams, and if you're able to do that in examination, you will be able to get very good marks in the physical anthropology. Then we have modern human biology and health related topics that we have to study here. And the next important part here is the anthropology, that is applied anthropology. The concepts that you have learned, you have to apply in various fields such as sports, such as nutrition, right? So we have solving crimes, disciplines, defense, and all other different parameters, subjects that we have. That is the subject matter of physical anthropology. Now, for physical anthropology, the only book that you have to refer apart from class notes, obviously, because if you're attending the classes, your class notes should serve as a core material, a base material. Anything, whatever you are reading, whether you are reading it from books or whether you are reading it from internet or study materials or whatever, it should only be used to add value to the class notes. So everything will be revolving around the class notes. Now here, the book that I would recommend is Physical Anthropology by Pinath. But again, the book has same problem. As I told you, this book has not been written for UPSC civil services aspirants. Rather, this book has been written keeping in mind the demand of the academia. And that is why only 60 to 65% of this book or content of this book, I would say is relevant for the UPSC Anthropology examination. So make sure again you are referring to the syllabus as given in the UPSC notification and strictly adhere to the syllabus. Do not read anything that is in this book outside of the syllabus, because it will be a kind of we can say this non-directional preparation. So that is physical anthropology for Pinath. That is more than enough apart from class notes to cover whatever we have in the physical anthropology. Now, apart from this, we have the paper 2 as we have discussed. Now, paper 1, largely if you combine both socio-cultural and physical anthropology, is dealing with the concepts of anthropology, where you have to learn about theories, where you have to learn about the definitions, where you have to learn about the works of various anthropologists from all across the world, their contribution which they have made, which have not only enriched the subject, enriched the discipline, but also have given us a very clear and crisp idea about the humanity right from past to present. So that is the paper 1. Paper 2 largely focuses upon India, and here also it is focusing upon, the first part is what we can say is related to archaeological anthropology. Archaeological anthropology is that part of anthropology where you try to find evidences in the past by archaeological, we can say through the archaeological methods, and here he talks about prehistory as well as the Indian archaeology. Now this is a very important, I would say, part of anthropology. Many students do this mistake of skipping this part or not giving proper attention and focus to this part. So make sure that not commit this mistake. Make sure that you are giving proper attention, due attention to this particular topic, and also make sure that you are writing about all the tools, the tool technology, the tool techniques at different times in history, whether it is the Paleolithic times, Mesolithic time, Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Iron Age, and all that. So major sites related to all of the ages, who was the archaeologists who are associated with the discovery of those particular sites, what kind of tools and tool technologies were present at that times, what kind of socio-cultural life people used to have in those times. These are the basic things that we have to cover here. So not only this is a very interesting topic in anthropology, but also it is a highly scoring topics, given that you have a probability, or we can say given that you have a scope of making good diagrams here. So again, to emphasize, whichever this questions that you get in the mains examination, in those questions where you have the possibility or a scope of making good diagrams and maps and other kind of things, make sure that you attempt those questions if you know it well, because there you will have a much better chances of getting good marks. Second is Indian anthropology, and largely it focuses upon the rural communities, that is village communities. The first part of Indian anthropology focuses upon the study of villages of India, the village system of India, and how the life goes on there. And second part then focuses upon the studying of tribal communities in India. So ethnographic profile of India also is small part that you have to study here. Plus this part is very dynamic in nature, and also this part of subject is something that you have to prepare from the current affairs perspective as well, because this part of the syllabus deals with the contemporary issues as well as the societal changes that we are seeing in India. This can be in the field of agriculture, this can be in the way how villages used to work before and how the changes has happened here. This can be in the way of understanding how the village system such as Jajmani system has underwent significant changes. This also deals with the changes that is not emanating only from within the village, but also the outside effect that we are witnessing in Indian villages, that can be because of the globalization, that can be because of development in transportation and communication, development of internet technology, liberalization, privatization, and urbanization. So all of these have contributed significantly in changing how village used to be 30, 40, 50 years before and how villages are today. However, the core of village is still something that survives in the Indian villages. So we have to focus on both of these issues. So both current affairs as well as the static part, both are equally important, at least in the Indian anthropology part. And next we have the applied anthropology, again especially for the tribal welfare and how Government of India has devised its programs and policy, taking help from the anthropologists in devising proper plans, proper policies for the welfare of tribals. So this is overall what we can say is in the paper 2 of the syllabus. Now, as far as paper 2 is concerned, apart from class note, what other study material you can refer? So obviously, as we have discussed, one of the major topics in paper 2 is prehistory, archaeological history of India and Indian sites. So here you can refer to a book that is called as an outline of Indian prehistory by D.K. Bhattacharya. Once you are done with this, then as we have discussed, we have two parts here. One is the anthropology of Indian villages and one is focusing upon the tribals of India. So for Indian anthropology, you can again refer to book by Nadeem Hasnan, and also for tribal India, you can refer to book by the Nadeem Hasnan. So class notes plus value addition from these three books, that is more than enough to cover the static part of paper 2, that is archaeology, tribal anthropology as well as the Indian anthropology. Now, apart from this, from where else you can add the values? So obviously, first of all, in unit 6 of paper 1, you have to study about anthropological theories, about 12 anthropological theories we are having there. So those anthropological theories, for those theories you can refer to the website of University of Alabama, and this is a very good source for that. Second, you can refer to the report that has been published by Anthropological Survey of India. This will be help you immensely in enriching your we can say answer and enriching your notes before, obviously, for paper 2. Third, Ministry of Tribal Affairs, because in the part 2 of paper 2 we have to focus largely on the tribals, their problems, challenges, and what the government is doing for them. So that is something you can easily get if you are referring to the reports of Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Again, you do not have to go through the entire bulk report, rather you can just look at the bullet points summary of the report. That is more than enough. Recent scheme, obviously, that is from the newspaper, should be a very major source of that. The recent programs that has been launched by the governments and all other data that is being published about the tribals in India. Fourth, as far as the government schemes and tribal related news are concerned, you have to prepare that from the newspapers also. In paper 2 especially, I would suggest that while writing your answer, the inclusion of case studies and the recent relevant examples play a very, very important role in determining how much marks you will get for that answer. So do not only focus on learning the static, try to enrich your notes, enrich your content by continuously including case studies and example. The recent examples will be more better fit here. Then obviously a Kaka committee report, which is a holy grail if you have to have a grip over the tribal anthropology in paper 2. go through this report in detail, make a detailed note, a comprehensive note from the findings of these reports, recommendations also you will find here. And for case studies, this report also is a very good source. So make sure that you are including that as well. And last, I would say, in 2014 January, Yojana magazine was published. So it is easily available online. You can refer to January 2014 edition of Yojana, which was focusing upon tribal and marginalized community. Now, a lot of things have changed. However, the core problems of tribals has remained same, and that is where this magazine can help you a great deal. So these all, if you are able to do this, the books that we have discussed, obviously the class and the class notes, that is the core of your preparation, and all this value addition, I think you are set for writing anthropology examination in the next mains examination. Now overall, let us try to also understand that if someone is a novice, a beginner in studying of anthropology, or someone who has just started the preparation of UPSC and started and keen to start the preparation of optional subjects as well, what should be approach toward this subject? So first of all, let us talk about paper 1. So paper 1, as I told you before, is full of concepts, full of definitions, full of the work that has been done by anthropologists all across the world. So do not be in hurry to complete the syllabus, because that is general this, what you can say, a trend that we see, that students want to complete the syllabus just to have a feeling that saying that yes, I have completed the syllabus. Do not do that mistake, because in the first reading you have to have focus on conceptual clarity rather than completing the syllabus fast. So no matter how much time it takes, give the time, give it proper time, try to ask faculties, try to explain, find yourself on the internet if you are stuck somewhere, but make sure that you are able to clear the concepts. So that is why the first reading is something that takes a lot of time. Once your concepts are clear, next when you're revising it, you'll see that it takes significantly lesser amount of time as you have given in the first reading. So obviously there you will be able to save time. Second, understanding of definitions and terms from the perspective of anthropology. For example, I told you that in socio-cultural anthropology, you have to study about concept of marriage or institution of marriage in India. Now, if you can ask anyone that what is a marriage, everyone will have a certain view about marriage, everyone will be able to define about what a marriage is. But you cannot write such a generalized statement about the marriage or definition of marriage. So you have to focus on such definitions and terms which has been given by anthropologists here. So your definition should not look general, your definition should look like a scholar. Scholar means who has a perfect understanding or a good understanding of the subject itself. Second, definitions here are very, very important, especially in socio-cultural anthropology. So make sure that you're remembering the definitions verbatim. Verbatim means exactly how it has been defined by a particular anthropologist. So for example, if we talk about marriage, or we talk about family, we talk about kinship, these are terms which are generally used in our society. So do not, so make sure that you are reading the definition and remembering the definition exactly as given by the anthropologist. Fourth, study anthro theories really well and understand them in detail. As we discussed, Unit 6, anthropological theories. These are the most important topic in the socio-cultural part of anthropology. If you are able to understand this theory well, you will be able to use this theory in different parts of anthropology. Even in paper 2, you can use these theories very well. And believe me, if you are using these theories indirectly in such questions where it is not being directly asked, but it is making sense to use the theory, examiner will be very much impressed, and you will be able to obviously get much more better marks or higher marks as compared to your peers. And last, I would say, try to interlink topics and contribution of anthropologists in different areas. Same anthropologists, they have done a lot of work in diverse fields. So how they are connected with each other, how they are working with each other, this is something that also that you have to focus upon. So interlinking of topics as well as contributions of anthropologists, this you will be able to do not obviously in the first reading, but in the second time, third time when you're revising, then you will be able to do that. So first focus on these 3-4 things, and then automatically if you have developed a grip over the subject, the fifth will come automatically to you. Coming to note making, What should be our strategy for making notes? Now, obviously, note making I would not recommend to do in the first reading itself. First reading should just be before understanding the subject concepts. In the second revision onwards, you should focus on making of notes, and these should be the points that you should be focusing upon here. First, make sure that your notes are your only source of revision, and that is why it should be rich, it should be comprehensive. That means you should have proper definition of a particular concept, you should have case studies related to that, you should have examples related to that, you should even have exceptions. That means such exception which does not fit into the overall the definition of the concepts and all that. So comprehensive in that manner, and enough diagrams and case study as we have discussed. Second, what mistake lot of students do is that they have lot of 5 to 6 books are there, and all these books are catering to the same concept, same syllabus, same topics. This is a recipe for disaster. Do not commit that mistake. Make sure that you have one standard reference book. It can be any book, it can be any study material, it can be your class notes if you're attending the classes, obviously, and every other thing should be included as a value addition. So at the end of the day, when you are, let us say, 1 month, 20 days, 15 days before writing mains examination, you do not have to shuffle through 5-6 different books if you want to revise, let us say, the topic of marriage, or let us say topic of family. You should not have your diagrams of, let us say, fossils scattered across 3-4 different notes and study material, and then you will spend half of time in just collecting and trying to arrange all these materials together. So do not commit this mistake. Make sure that you have comprehensive one notes, and that should be the source of the end revision. Next, the first notes from it, and then add relevant content as I discussed before. Names of relevant anthropologists, publication year, name and tribe on which the study was done. Make sure that you are collecting these also. So when you're writing an introduction, you're writing the names of anthropologists, you're writing the book he has published, you're writing the year in which it was published, and what was the main topic which he has tried to cover that. That will be a very good introduction for a question that you're writing answer for. And last, you have to use the internet as per your convenience to understand about the latest research and developments in various fields wherein anthropology is being applied for practical purposes. This is very, very true, because archaeology is a field that is continuously working, a kind of, we can say, archaeological finds, archaeological evidences continuously keeps coming up, and that causes a lot of changes, sea changes in our understanding of the human evolution. So make sure that you are aware about those new archaeological finds. Second, I will say also about the research and development that is happening in the field of, we can say, genetics, which is a very interesting area. So we are aware about those also. Now, briefly, if we talk about answer writing, obviously, make sure that you have examples, and if you are able to illustrate your answer by adding proper diagrams, that will enrich your answers. So, example, I can talk about a concept that we have to study in socio-cultural anthropology, that is nature-man-spirit complex. Just writing in textual form about what is nature-man-spirit complex, examples and all that. Make sure that you can, if you are able to draw this diagram, that how nature is related to man and man is dependent on nature, how the spirit and man are related to each other, how nature and spirit is related to each other, and how spirit influences the nature. So this comprehensively covers overall we can say relation between these three themes. So that will obviously make your answer. Similarly, you have to study about the Kula study, okay, or Kula exchange that was explained by Malinowski. So rather than just writing about Kula ring exchange, what is the importance of Kula ring exchange, you can, by drawing a diagram, show that how Kula ring exchange occurs between different islanders of Trobriand Island. So these are the some things that you have to do by yourself, and you will be able to do this in second and third revision. Rather than writing in text, try to think how you can innovate, how can you innovate your answer to make it look much more better in sense. Same thing as we discussed about fossils also. In fossils, you have to focus upon phylogenetic status. That means what was the place of a particular fossil, a particular species in the evolutionary tree, who are the ancestor, who are the successors, characteristics of that particular species, that can be physical characteristics, whether it was short-statured, whether it was tall-statured, whether it was bulky, whether it was lean, cultural aspect of that species, time span of the fossil, obviously. and most importantly geographical distribution, where you have to draw the map depicting the sites from where the fossils have been discovered. Now this is a very good scoring or highly scoring topic in the physical anthropology, so make sure that you are focusing specifically in these topics. You have already relevant diagrams prepared with you, relevant this examples and maps prepared with you, so that it's easier for you to revise in the later stages. So basically that we can say in answer writing plus. Again, in briefly we try to summarize it. If you have to write good answers for paper 1, what you have to focus upon? First, focus on the static question with the scope of diagrams and examples. And here obviously without saying, it comes into your mind that archaeology is one such topic and fossil study is other such topic. That means we can say paleoanthropology and archaeology. So make sure that you are prepared well on these two topics. A scholarly approach to write answers, we have discussed before also. For example, I told you, if you have to describe about coolaring, not just write about coolaring in the way how you have understood. Rather write it like this. For example, coolaring was made famous. You have to quote the name of anthropologist who have worked upon this. That is Bronislaw Malinowski, considered the father of modern anthropology. In seminal work on the topic, where you have to write the name of the book, that is Argonauts of the Western Pacific, published in year 1922. So this is a very good introduction, and then you can draw the diagram, for example, that we have shown before, that how coolaring is exchanged, how the Mawali and Suwala is being exchanged between different partners. And then you can talk about that what kind of significance, the social cultural significance it has on the life of the Trobra and islanders, and then you can conclude. Latest news pertaining to the anthropology you have to focus upon, especially related to new fossil discovery, launch of new government scheme for tribal groups, especially particularly vulnerable tribal groups, or new founding that is in genetic research. For example, few months back you might have heard about Human Genome Project, where in India also the first time we can say the Human Genome Project was launched, and the data has been collected to a large extent. So what is the significance of that? Why we are doing it? All these things we have to prepare from the current affairs, interlinking of topics that we also have discussed before. Now we're talking about coming to paper 2. As I told you, in prehistory, make sure that you are preparing in very well about, let us say, we have divided the entire prehistory into Paleolithic, Upper Paleolithic, Mid Paleolithic, Lower Paleolithic. Then we have Mesolithic, same. Then we have after that we have the later stages are there. So for each of these ages, Neolithic and all, prevailing climate, what kind of climate that was on the earth in different areas, the tools, tool types, tool technologies and materials, what are the prominent sites in India as well as outside of India if it is required, and related archaeologist, uniqueness in the sites, etc. This is something you have to do in the notes itself, so that in the end you just have to mug it up and then go and write good answers. For example, these are some tools that are from different ages. So make sure that for each of these tools you already have a ready line diagram, practice line diagram, so that without any effort you are able to draw good diagrams in the examination. So that is what you have to do in the beforehand. Generic questions are many which you will find in the paper 2. Actually, many questions in paper 2 resembles very closeness, we can say are very similar actually to general study paper. So make sure that you are adding value by quoting tribal examples, case studies. That is why I'm saying case study all the time. I'm stressing about it. It is very important in paper 2, and explain the specificity of the problems of a certain tribes rather than talking about their generic problems. Interlinkages with theories and concepts of paper 1. As I told you, unit 6 in paper 1, if you're able to use these concepts of theories in writing answers of paper 2, you will have a very good marks in paper 2. And contemporary relevance of the questions and link obviously it will be current affairs. So these are some brief points that you have to cover as far as the paper 2 is concerned. Paper 2, as it is a dynamic part, so focus on newspaper to enrich your answers and be aware about what is happening in India as well as across the world in terms of ethnic conflict, the caste-based conflict, how the government policies are changing, how this impact of globalization, modernization and westernization is being seen not only in the urban societies but also in the villages of India, and to these days even in the tribal societies of India. So these are some things that we have to understand here. So in conclusion, what we can say is anthropology by and large, if you analyze the previous question, it seems to be a static subject. Questions that is being asked can be easily answered if you have prepared a static part well. Hence, PYQ practice is very, very important. It is actually, I will say, integral part of your anthropology preparation. So collect the questions based on topics for last 15 years. Make sure that you have a proper notes on them, how you would write that answer. If it is asked in examination, add and enrich that answer with the diagrams, tools and all these things that we have discussed, and have a good command over PYQs and practice them thoroughly. Because if you look, same questions, same topics are being repeated year after year, just a slight change in words, framing of the question that you will see. But if you have practiced and written your PYQs well, you'll able to answer these questions also very well, and you will have to spend less time on such questions, and then you'll have more time to spend on such questions where you have to have a kind of analytical mind, where you have to think how to frame the answer, where you have to spend more time in drawing of diagrams and all that. So try to attempt all the questions again. Practicing time management is here very, very necessary, and that is why once you are done with 30-40% of your syllabus, I would suggest you can directly go through, start writing answers, and the best place to start is the PYQs. I would suggest even that even once you have completed a particular subject, a particular topic, let's say you have completed marriage, you have completed family, after that you can just go look at or look through the previous questions that has been asked from those topics, try to answer them and see that whether you are able to answer it or not, and that is also serve as an that will also serve as a guideline that whether you have understood the concepts well or not. So once you are done with this, I am sure that you will able to answer anthropology questions very well, and you're able to get very good marks in the subject. That is all about this particular topic. I hope you understood about overall that why anthropology, you should choose anthropology as an optional UPSC, what is the expectation of this subject from you as an UPSC aspirant, and how, if you are a beginner, you have to start and go through till you write the mains examination in this particular subject. Thank you very much.